to the side. I don't feel you, God. I don't feel your vibe. I can't let you slide. You done crossed the line. I ain't got no time. All you niggas slime. Pretty in my prime. I ain't got no time. I ain't got no time. Throw them to the side. I don't feel you, God. I don't feel your vibe. I can't let you slide. You done crossed the line. I ain't got no time. All you niggas slime. Pretty in my prime. I ain't got no time. I ain't got no time.
All right. So let's transition to basketball.
Oh.
Right now we're taping this Wednesday night, so the Wizards are playing Celtics. Unfortunately, like I haven't checked the score. I don't know what's going on, but
I'll check.
Like my friend texted me a few minutes ago. He says we're getting killed. So.
Oh, fuck.
Oh,
really?
boy.
Ooh,
Yeah.
well, we were just talking about how we thought the Wizards are definitely. Oh, you guys are down by 16.
16 is nothing. Like,
But at the half, yeah.
Yeah, 16 is not much. What did I say? Like, I said the Wizards were going to take it in 6. I don't think they're going to lose another game, but
I think if they're going to take
my
it
prediction's
now,
kind of.
7.
I'm basically right. The game, like the series right now is best of 3. 2 in Boston, 1 in
And these
Washington.
are the Wizards you think are gonna take the Cavs?
Okay, one like
They're not
Boston.
taking
Boston,
the
they ain't no slouch. Like, and it's a rivalry. Like that's the difference. It's a rivalry. Like anything can
Oh,
happen in
yeah.
sports rivalries, right?
Mm.
Wizards Celtics is a rivalry.
Yeah, no, I like how rivalries are developing in
Yeah.
the NBA again. Like, players are fighting. In the
You see
NBA.
how Crowder, like John Wall, no matter what he does, when Crowder's on him, he's like screaming at Crowder while he does these incredible feats. Like
You think they won't do that against the
there's
Cavs?
so much passion here. Like okay, so I love like the Cavs Wizards like dynamic, but that's like big brother little brother. That's not really a rivalry. And like even if John Wall is gonna try to talk trash
which is
to
why I think the big brother will just little brother.
okay. If it's the Wizards, it'll be 6 games at least.
Okay.
If it's the Celtics, it'll be 5 games. But this whole idea of these top teams gonna be able to like sweep their way to the finals, like that is farce. Like come on,
I mean, LeBron did it like who
LeBron didn't sweep his way to the finals
Because
last year,
they
who-
lost to
The Raptors gave
But then
him
this
2.
year they were like, okay, we're not gonna chill for 2 games. We're gonna
Yeah.
kill you.
Now
Well,
they
so
have that
we all
mentality where
knew
they're
the
trying to
Raptors-
sweep
So
every
that's the
game
thing.
so that
We
they
all
can
knew
get
the
that-
Raptors weren't a real team last
Are
year.
the Raptors
We all knew
better this year or last year?
last year, I think.
Right. Oh, you think so?
I know they're
Yeah.
better this year.
Really?
But the point is, that, like
They had Bismack Biyombo. He was playing so well. in
So
the
that
playoffs.
was like the.
You're
that
gonna
was-
take
that
Biz
was-
over
Serge, yeah, honestly.
You take Biz over Serge.
Yeah,
I
sure.
think you're the only one who takes
Serge
Biz over
is so much older. Biz has so much more time ahead of him. Biz was learning an offensive game. Serge can shoot, and
Before
that gives
Biz
them more
came-
spacing. But
Before Biz came to the Raptors, and actually even when he was on the Raptors, Biz was the least passed to player in the NBA. Like per.
that's because
stats.
that's not his job. His job is to protect the rim and
Do you
catch.
know why
lob.
he was the least passed to player?
What?
Because he literally has bricks for hands. Like he can
I
he can
don't
swat
doubt
shots,
that.
but he also swats those passes.
I'm gonna say this, in the playoffs though, he was like I think you brought
was
this up
nice.
earlier. He was the X factor.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the reason why like Biz was good for them in the playoffs was because let's be real, the Toronto Raptors superstars or stars or whatever you want to call them, they're soft.
Yeah, no,
So
and
Biz was the
DeRozan, like
yeah,
you can't be a
DeRozan's soft.
superstar when all you do is shoot jump. Like I literally see him like he'll like when he's trying to get the Raptors back in a game, he'll call for the ball for 5 straight possessions, and each possession he'll do that thing where he puts his back to the player at the elbow, fakes going this way, goes that way, steps back, puts up a shot, makes 2 out of 5 of them.
I actually respect that because he's trying to be Kobe. He just needs to be better with
But
it.
he's not good
He
enough
needs
to
be
do that.
better.
Like, unless you're fucking Kobe at that, you should just be taking layups and taking
No,
threes.
but
in the NBA.
I have to give DeRozan credit because DeRozan's someone I've been discounting since he ever came into the league.
Yeah, I agree
And
with that. He's
his
improved.
first few seasons, he was like utter trash. It's like, why are the Raptors even like? Why aren't they sitting this dude? He's someone who's worked on his game to the point where he could become a consistent 25-plus point scorer. I think he averaged 26 this year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, at any given moment, DeRozan can put 30 on you.
Mm-hmm.
He was the guy who stepped up to allow the Raptors to avoid that first-round embarrassment to the Bucks.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. NBA offenses have gotten so good that I feel like we underestimate a guy like DeRozan. Like, he scored 27 points per game this year, like 3 assists, 3 rebounds or something. Like, back in 2008, if you averaged that, like, there were championship winners who averaged that. Like, people would consider you, like, one of the greatest players in the game. And now there's just, like, Russell Westbrook averaging a triple-double, LeBron averaging what he's averaging, everyone doing crazy things.
The thing about the NBA right now, and I've been like I started this group I have this like group chat barbershop playoff
Shouts
talk.
out to
Yeah,
Shout out
barbershop
to
playoff
Barbershop
talk.
Playoff Talk.
Yeah, so basically it's this Facebook group where like 60 dudes from U Chicago plus Eagle talk about basketball 24/7 like throughout these playoffs. I brought up the fact that how people look back at this era in basketball, and I said it would be characterized by lots of threes, no defense, and like lack of toughness. But then I look back at just commentary from several people in the media and stats and all this, and I just realized that if any team were to go up against like an average team from this era, like any of these championship teams, they would struggle because no matter like all the mistakes that average teams would make in the NBA, they could shoot enough threes to keep themselves in any game, like against like Bird and stuff. Like, could you even say like someone like, right? So like when the Houston Rockets won a championship, they had like two like dominant big men. It was Olajuwon who could kind of move, and then I keep forgetting the other guy. But the point is like, you can't play two big men in the league. Like Duncan and Robinson, they couldn't both be on the floor in today's NBA.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the kind of thing I see with DeRozan. He's an old school type player, a guy who doesn't shoot any threes, and that affects his game. Like, because now you have warped the court where you only have like three-point shooters if you count Serge, and then so you basically don't have enough firepower to compete no more.
And Serge is not one of those guys you can feed the ball to for threes. He's one of those guys where if he happens to be open for a three, he'll make it. I also think that I completely agree with your point that like today's offenses would like beat a lot of teams, good teams from earlier in history, just because of how good of shooters they are. I also think one of DeRozan's problems is he doesn't realize that like that's what he needs to do. Like after the Raptors lost to the Cavs, after they got swept, like in the post-game conference, like they said, what are you going to work on this offseason? And he said, I'm going to work on my passing because I need to become an elite passer.
That's very true.
You do need to work on your passing, but Kyle Lowry is the main distributor on that team. You have centers who can distribute on that team. Corey Joseph can distribute. Like what you should be doing is improving your defense and improving your three-point shooting.
I agree. And it definitely his defense, but because the mindset of the Raptors seems to be so wrong in every step of the way, I'm like, why do they still have the same coach? Like, why is
Dwayne Casey still the coach? He's like an old school NBA coach that like doesn't get the new NBA.
He's also supposed to bring him an elite defense. They didn't really get that.
And they had the pieces. They got Serge Ibaka. Like
the thing is, can you even
Lowry's
really have an
defender.
elite defense in the NBA anymore? Like,
Why not?
I know people say the Warriors an elite defense.
what?
But the thing about the Warriors is that they shoot so much that it's kind of like if you can't keep up, then like you become one-dimensional because you have to start shooting threes to keep up with the Warriors, right? You stop like running long possessions to find good shots, and you start becoming undisciplined in your offensive attack, which helps them in their defensive rating.
I think that's like the unique situation, but I don't think that like precludes you from being able to.
So now they bring up team number 2, like the Spurs, like are a great defensive team. But Popovich is like working some defensive magic because he has Pau Gasol and David Lee like putting up like competent enough defense to be like ranked in the top 5. Those guys are both sieves.
Because the man has genius.
Pau Gasol's an underrated defender, first of all.
I mean, so
when they were on the Bulls, like he was getting toasted.
That's because he didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, and he is also getting older. But either way, like that Coach Pop, like he has elite defensive schemes, and that's one thing I slept on until recently. Like you can go on YouTube and look up like Spurs defensive schemes, and it'll show you like the entire year.
Yeah, probably like basketball breakdown. But like the point is, when you take out those two teams, the rest of the NBA, I can't find you a team that plays consistently great defense, like game in game out.
Like team defense.
Yeah, consistently great team defense, game in game out to the point they can slow down modern NBA offenses. Like, it used to be defense wins championships, but right now, it's offense.
It's offense. Defense. Yeah, I completely agree with that. Offense wins championships nowadays. Like,
yeah.
I just see teams like the Houston Rockets. It's ridiculous how many threes they're shooting now. It's like
they put up 40 to 50.
I hate to say it's not real basketball because I don't want to sound like Charles Barkley. I think it's real basketball, but as a person who plays pickup ball, and when you're playing pickup ball, like you don't do that 3 points.
Keeps shooting threes.
Yeah, you don't do 3 points and 2 points. You do 2 points and 1 point. So if you make 2 pointers, it's only 1 point, and they're valued even less. Like the ratio is just different.
Yeah.
And so literally, it feels like I'll like go to the gym and put in so much work on like my spin moves and my post moves and like my elbow jumpers, and it feels like real basketball to me. And then I like nobody's passing to you because there's always someone who can hit threes, and they're just like constantly hitting threes, and it just feels like basketball is becoming a game where it's just one skill and just hitting threes. And I'm not saying that's horrible, but like it's definitely like, why guys like DeRozan.
There's more of an emphasis on running up and down the court and jacking shots, and that's definitely warping like the basketball landscape. I think that's what's led to this like whole like maybe if like you should just tank if you're not gonna be the top team in the conference.
That's so sad. Like literally only the Cavs and the Warriors have a hope every year, and all the other teams like you can't in other sports. I feel like in football and baseball, if you finish like losing like the championship series or like the division series or something, like you still made the playoffs. You're still proud that you won a division title. In basketball,
definitely not in basketball.
Yeah, in basketball, like there are talks about like deconstructing like the fucking Raptors and the fucking
Raptors, the Clippers,
and it's just like no, these are still
Pacers,
really good teams that are really fun to watch. Like Bill Simmons wrote that article about the Clippers where he's like, it's the end of an era for the point god. He truly disappointed us. Like no, the Clippers played really great basketball for
plus,
like 6 years.
The Clippers gonna run it back.
Like sorry, they just didn't have Steph Curry and LeBron James in their primes. Like,
yeah. Anyway, on that note, I want to deliver a hot take here. I don't think a lot of people say that James Harden is a superstar and that he's a championship caliber player. Like, you know, people talk about like if you don't have the 5 top like players in the league, you're probably not going to win a championship.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I think that there's this whole grit and toughness factor into winning a championship that you have to consider, and James Harden doesn't have it. And I reference the last game they had where James Harden almost it was against the Spurs Rockets game 6. Yeah. No, it was game 5. Basically, game taken into overtime. Kawhi had to leave the floor because he had an ankle injury. So James Harden was basically the only superstar on the floor. And you turned the ball over on almost every single possession of overtime.
Yeah.
And on the last play, it kind of iconically like summed it up. Manu Ginobili blocked his shot from behind to prevent a potential buzzer.
Out of those golden age Thunder, the one with the juice is Russell Westbrook. He is the one. He is the one with the alpha dog gene. Out of the 3 of them, he is the one.
I think Harden.
So whereas Russell Westbrook puffs his chest out like he's the alpha dog, show me an accomplishment Russell Westbrook has where he's like shown me that he can be a championship point guard.
I agree with that.
It's like, yes, he put some nice stats in the regular season.
But
yes,
he's also such a ball hog.
Yeah, yes, he's super competitive.
Still. Okay, I think he's
but
at times. At bad times he is. But I think he's steadily improved his ball height. Like, there's no way you average 10 assists and you're a complete ball height.
No doubt the boy has improved. No doubt. But are we going to win a championship with Russell Westbrook? Are we going to, like...
So, okay, my take. Before you get too much in. So, about James Harden, I think James Harden, you have to give him the right situation, and then you can put him in that, like, top 5 players you need if you want a championship, right? So I don't think he individually, like where LeBron, you put him with any team, right? Steph Curry, basically put him with any team, right? Kevin Durant, although like I personally don't think like he has an X factor, put him with any team and it's like, okay, it's gonna.
He doesn't need the X factor with the Warriors.
The Warriors actually are interesting because I don't think anybody on that team besides Draymond has that X factor.
Yeah, it's really interesting. But like good enough.
They look like a soft team, like always.
Yeah, but good enough to probably take him to championship contention. Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
But James Harden, I don't think you could really put him on any team. I think it's very much like once they gave him all the right pieces to his skill set, it worked. And I think in that line, although like Russell Westbrook has all these problems, I think if you put him in the right situation like you have for James Harden, he would either be at James Harden level or better in terms of what he can do for
the thing is, like, wait, can I say one thing about James first?
Yeah.
People talk about him not having an X factor. What other NBA player has gone from averaging 4.5 assists a year to the next year leading the league in assists?
Right, so
he literally added a whole nother skill.
No doubt
to
that James
game.
Harden dunk came up, but the last 2 years, basically the Rockets have been bounced by the Golden State Warriors, and it's come down to James Harden having to do superstar things and then turning the ball over in an embarrassing amount of times. I think he had double-digit turnovers in the like closeout game of last year's playoffs, and then this
Amazing.
year's playoffs he's still being very turnover prone in clutch situations.
Because his style of play is just like
I think it's also very much effective.
he rams his like statistics. Just like he knows he's just gonna get to the line this many times, and he knows if he just has a formula where he dribbles a bunch and euro steps and draws fouls.
So whereas
gonna
like
end
if you
up
take it back
averaging
to the days of Kobe and Jordan and a
That's
lot of
not how he
guys,
plays.
no, but like when you take it back to like a guy like Kobe who he lived to the free throw line in clutch time, right?
Yeah.
James Harden has bastardized that. Has some people would say has Morey balled it, Daryl Morey, like the GM of the
Can I get
Rockets.
5 seconds?
Go for it.
As you continue, I just want to give credit to James Harden. He runs a very not super complicated offense, but like he runs a pretty complicated offense.
True.
That he has to make a lot of decisions.
It's amazing how many decisions he makes on the fly.
He's actually the point guard.
But why does he fail
So-
to do it in crunch time?
So I was just talking about his skill set. Carry on about your point. But yeah,
point
so
is-
that's your point basically, right?
Yeah, the point
He doesn't
is,
do
like-
his crunch time.
The guy
Oh.
hasn't been a superstar when it counts.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's it.
I think we should talk about some other basketball things, right? So maybe we could talk about LeBron James possibly being better than Jordan.
Oh yeah,
Oh my
I
God.
really wanted to. So did
So
you
I
see that thing Ben posted?
Yeah. So it was
Yeah.
like so that.
So back
what's
to
his name?
barbershop
So
playoff
Colin
talk.
Cowherd and what's like I thought you followed that guy on Twitter because he like Nick
Oh,
Nick
no.
Wright.
Right.
Only because like, I think he has an interesting perspective because he's a guy who like is married to a black woman, right? So
He is?
Yeah. So he's a guy who.
That's the last thing I would have expected. Dude is for the
did
culture.
you see the way he cuts his hair? Did you see the way he cuts his hair? That's how I knew. I was like, now it makes sense.
How does he cut his hair?
Dude is for the culture.
Like Kwaku. It's just like all pretty much cut all the way down, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting. I follow him not because he's married to a black woman, but I think because he's at.
I think that's reason not to follow him though.
I mean, I don't want to just.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
He then because of that situation, he is put in a way where he's talking about social justice in a way that I wouldn't want to hear from someone like Colin Cowherd. You know what I mean? Like I hate sometimes when like old white men try to like talk about like
Yeah.
like his perspective is very like limited, whereas I think his perspective has been widened due to the people he's involved in, right? So like he's a guy who's gonna have like black children and all these things, right? So also just like being like a white guy talking in sports about like a lot of black people, but also having a significant connection to the black community. I think he's in an interesting position.
Get to his point.
Oh yeah, so this man always talks about LeBron James, him and Colin Cowherd.
LeBron James.
They're basically his biggest
LeBron James.
dick riders, which is wonderful for someone like me who's a big LeBron James fan because they just confirm anything I would ever believe.
Oh my God.
Which I was
So
watching.
the media
LeBron won the
feeds,
championship last year. That was the greatest moment of my life.
Oh, honestly, watching that live, I literally got up and it was stupid. Because
So
that was
certified LeBron
that was
hater
an-
even back then.
that was an
I
incredible
literally-
moment.
I had to put my hands in the air. I'm just like,
Yeah.
No,
everyone
I just
everyone
saw
doubted
greatness.
him before that title. And
I didn't
Yeah.
think I thought there was zero chance.
Yeah.
I thought it was like the Warriors' time to show us like they're the best team unequivocally.
So the point was, tell me what Michael Jordan does as a basketball player, or they did better than LeBron besides winning 6 rings, right? Tell me that Michael Jordan is better than LeBron without saying 6 rings. That was basically his
I
argument.
think the only thing Jordan did better is defend better than LeBron. I think that people talk about LeBron's defensive versatility as an argument for why he's better than Jordan on the defensive end,
Mm-hmm.
but LeBron is not as versatile as people say. Like when people say LeBron can guard centers, like he can occasionally play help defense when a center is rushing and like
True.
block their shot, but he cannot stay on a center in the
The
post
thing is,
and
right?
guard them.
The thing is, right? The
Michael
center
Jordan
is
won the
drastically-
defensive player of the year.
The center has drastically declined in our version of the NBA to the point where he's just a close range dunker, close range shots. Centers don't have the post moves that we've
They get it
seen
back
in the
though.
past.
They're coming back now.
Yeah,
'Cause-
Joe
I hope so.
Embiid-
I
but
hope
they're
so.
not like they're all skinny.
The
But
point
they're
is,
coming back.
they're not like real center. We have this hybrid kind of center.
like wings.
So when LeBron can guard centers because he can just like make sure that the opposing center can't dunk. Like
Yeah,
I don't
LeBron-
think that's really like defensive
LeBron can
prowess.
guard centers because centers nowadays are built like Karl Anthony Towns and like Robin
Actually,
Lopez.
the Karl Anthony Towns. If LeBron was on Karl Anthony Towns,
See,
Karl
that's what I'm
Anthony
saying.
Towns would brutalize him.
No,
Well-
no, dude. When we played the Cavs, I'm a big Wolves fan. LeBron guarded
Stop
Karl
hating on my
Anthony.
man LeBron. You know?
Karl
He's
Anthony,
good.
LeBron guarded Karl Anthony Towns for like 50% of the game and shut him down. Like there was this one play where Karl Anthony Towns tried doing his like fancy post up moves, then like spin around and like and LeBron just like yanked the ball out of his hands.
Oh man.
So even if I wanted to push, or even if I was going to push back on what you guys are saying, either way, I do think. So I think LeBron is a versatile defender, but I think people overblow the fact that since he's versatile, that means he's a great defender, right?
Yeah.
And while he is more versatile than Jordan to a variety of reasons, largely because like his body, but it's also like a skill set, right? It's also his ability to use his body. So like, don't not take anything away from him. Defense, as I think Ramel was trying to say one day, I don't know if it was him, but something like effort, right? I think defense is more than just like effort, like it's also a skill set. But I think when it comes down to like something that's big for you, like crunch time and shit like that, right? It's a matter of like who wants it more, tenacity, etc. I think that's something. While like I wasn't watching Jordan every day, I do watch enough LeBron to know that I would safely say that Jordan is someone who is probably like more tenacious on defense, right?
Yeah.
So while maybe like LeBron's like total capabilities might be higher, like doesn't mean that he
That's the
consistently.
reason why we say Lacoste, right? But
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
all right.
we talk about how
it was never no like like
Okay.
Michael Coast Jordan. Like,
you don't know. It's just names didn't get
Yeah.
perpetuated. Like
Yeah,
that
there
on the
was no RNBA to come up with Lacoste. Like,
yeah.
there was just no social media. People weren't being like, if there was social media on in
I have to say that
in
Nick-
Jordan's
nicknames
day,
people use
there
were,
would be
like,
pictures
prescribed
of
to the
him
team.
at like slot machines posted every day. Like there would be
His
pictures
games
of
are
him.
problem
Imagine Charles
has been-
Barkley
Oh.
with social media.
My God, they would all just look so bad. Like,
I just remember the days when he was getting caught with like strippers in his car.
Yeah.
Like, this man just lives.
Oh yeah,
He's
social
wild
media.
out.
Social media is definitely like trashed some players
And,
like reputations.
I think we also like
We all know like Paul George's issues. We all know
Oh
like
my God,
all
yeah.
these guys' issues.
Paul George. Like he got
Draymond.
catfished so hard. He got
Draymond's
catfished by a dude.
Oh,
How's
no.
How's
Draymond's sick,
posting
LeBron's
his-
sick,
his
we've seen
social
Draymond
media
owned
shit?
it though. He wasn't like
That
I
was
got
funny.
hacked. He was
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like
I think it was
yeah,
just
that was a
funny.
dick pic. Like people send dick pics. Like,
Yeah.
What were you saying?
oh, I was just saying that like I think the reason that like our society glorifies Michael Jordan is this really weird glorification we have of like psychopathic people and people who like
Interesting.
don't let others like step on them.
Like
So-
Mamba mentality.
Yeah, and it's so stupid. It's like Michael Jordan was such a cruel person. Like Michael
Look, he
Jordan
was.
is so rich,
So I hear.
barely donates anything to charity. Michael Jordan called Kwame Brown like an F word, like a gay slur, like repeatedly, and like we're just like would make him cry in practice like every day. Like he like called like Muggsy Bogues so like a midget. Like he did all this shit where
Sorry,
people
but-
are just like you're an asshole.
So,
and
Yes, Michael
LeBron
Jordan's
is
an
such
asshole,
a good
but-
guy, dude.
And
that's
yes,
what-
LeBron
but
is a good guy, but I'm
That's
sorry.
why we
but
view his intensity. as
Kwame
low.
Brown ruined like the last 10 years of my Wizards fandom.
Oh my
like,
God, Gil
Kwame-
Arenas ruined that, dude.
No, at least
Like,
Gil Arenas had
Michael
whatever
Jordan
stuff that Kobe
ruined
has,
that.
Gil Arenas had it too. Like Gil Arenas just wasn't smart, like with his locker room conduct.
the
That's
Wizards.
the guy that pulled the gun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Like,
weird.
but Gil Arenas he would like get snubbed from the USA basketball team. Then he would go, Nate McMillan, you're an assistant coach on the USA basketball. I'm gonna put 60 on you, and then he did it. So put some respect on Gil Arenas.
I respect Gilbert Arenas, but honestly, like we need to realize that Michael Jordan was an asshole, and that's why people
Oh, yeah.
think that's why people think that has more intensity just because in game he's like been doing like he's been doing blow the night before a game, and so like in game he's like really aggressive and mean. Like
But
Michael
the thing-
Jordan is just like a very unstable person that took out all his anger on the court. Like LeBron like has a family that loves him. Like
This is true,
Like-
but then what's Kobe's excuse? Why is Kobe also made of the same stuff that we kind of struggle to see in LeBron at times? Right, and this brings me back to my whole James
Kobe's
Harden
also
thing.
a bit of a psychopath.
But this is what brings me
I
back
mean,
to my
this
whole
is
like
this
James
the man
Harden thing.
who's been served with charges, right? Like
Yeah, but then
that's true.
he got off. Like,
he got off. Yeah,
but like I think we all know there was something.
see, so
going on
that's
there.
the thing. Like, I call this like the OJ paradox, right? It's
Uh-huh.
like you're still vilified and like attacked, even though you get off on things, right? Like, it's like
which
the trial already
I think
happened.
it's
You've
interesting.
been accused, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And the lawyers went through this. The justice system went through it. As flawed or not as it may be, right? How can someone like? It's like you lose the right to live, and that's like,
I do feel strongly about that actually.
Yeah.
In general,
and that's so crazy.
it's a tough position to be in.
It is a tough position.
I just think that like the court case like basically like if you read the transcripts of that, it's like Kobe makes it pretty evident that he knows he did something wrong. It like makes it unclear like whether it was like sexual assault or not, but like there is a quote. I don't know like how like vulgar we're supposed to get on this show.
Just try to keep it
anything
like that.
goes, but People's parents watch.
Okay, well, there. I mean, I guess this isn't like the public record, but there like is a quote where he's like, "I knew she didn't want me to like come on her face, but I did," and like that's one of those things where it's like, there was like some blame to put on Kobe. Like Kobe did something wrong, and so like I don't think it's one of those instances where like he was just like falsely accused and like
I mean,
got fucked.
saying he's falsely accused, no, but
Yeah.
like. We want to put the full like strength of like
No,
the
no, no.
charge. Like we want to act like he was proven guilty.
So it's
Yeah.
just this.
I don't think
I
anybody
do get
acts
that.
like this. Like the whole NBA fucking loves him.
So the
world
NBA
loves Kobe.
forgot, but there are lots of people who like read the case, and it's like they put it on Twitter all the time. But Kobe's a rapist.
Yeah, like that's just SJWs
That's not
for
accurate.
you.
That's not accurate.
I don't know if he is or not. Like
So for me, like yeah, I do,
it'll always
I
be
do-
a cloud.
I do
though.
see that happens, right? But I think it's interesting that he was able to get off with that, and
Yeah.
and I think like there's a certain level of like there's some people who go through that situation and be like, look, like this person might have been exaggerating something, but like I'm in the wrong, so etc. I think that's not necessarily like Kobe the way like he like completely dealt with that situation was like act like it just never happened, like it didn't exist. You know what I mean? So that's my personal thing.
But the thing is, like, I think the best way to take it is when I remember like when Bill Simmons did his Any Given Wednesday show for a hot minute on
Yeah.
HBO.
Yeah.
He had Vince Staples come on, and Vince Staples
Who's he?
just Vince Staples.
Oh, no, but who had him come on?
Bill Simmons had
Yeah,
him
yeah,
come on.
Yeah.
Vince Staples was on. Vince Staples is a very smart, astute West
Yeah.
Coast rapper, but he just kind of he brought it up. He's like, but Kobe be doing some sketchy things. Like I think it's totally fair reign to
Yeah, that's my point.
say Kobe's a great guy, but he didn't always do right by the people in his life. You know, that's fair to say. I think it's fair to say like Derrick Rose, got heart, but we know he cheated on his SATs, and we know that.
I just at this point now I just feel bad for that man.
And we know that he might not have done right by the girls in his life.
Yeah, I just don't think we need to sugarcoat it. Like, I think it's just.
But I
the
think
fact
we
that-
should focus back
yeah.
on Michael Jordan.
But in this internet era, I think that we can't spew the extremes. We need to be tempered.
I get that. I think the nature of the internet era means that like the extremes are always going to get out. We're just in a culture of like mass information now, and like
because everyone's
nothing
life's on
stays-
the public record. We
Yeah.
gotta be careful about people's like reputations.
Yeah, I mean, I think having a reputation is just like becoming like a good reputation as a public figure is just like it's so hard to like be a person.
So I respect my man Barry Obama.
Yeah.
Very
Always keeps it nice. Always keeps it nice.
We could talk about Obama for a while, but
Like I don't care about your politics, but this man, he just keeps it nice.
yeah, I mean, plenty of bad people keep it nice. But
anyone
that's
anyone interested in talking about the Fiji incident, Cinco de Mayo or not?
Oh, Fiji.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
I don't
Okay.
really know much about.
This is a good thing to end on. Okay, we'll end on the Fiji incident.
Uh,
So, as far as I understand it, right, Fiji was going to hold this party on Cinco de Mayo. That was a construction party. Per Fiji, it wasn't supposed to be a party about it wasn't supposed to be a party about the racial stereotype of Mexicans doing odd jobs in construction, being day workers in construction. It was actually supposed to be, party to ironically, highlight the fact that their house has been under construction for the past 2 years, and it just happened to fall on Cinco de Mayo. When they realized how this party message could be construed, they made an effort to change the name, the context of the event, right? And says nobody dress up for the construction party. Do not bring any construction anything. Everyone just come as you are. But brothers still showed up, and so they have been roasted quite heavily on social
On the meme
social
page.
media
so
on the meme
plug
page,
for that.
on
So,
Overheard,
which is incredible
on
because I
everything.
got added to that page, and I feel like now that I've been added, and I see people who are getting added, like all my friends are getting added, or people like my peers. I just was not aware that Chicago meme culture was so alive and well.
Yeah.
Honestly,
And this has brought a lot of people into
Yeah.
that culture. Like I'm in multiple different conversations, group after people. It's like wow, memes. First of all, Chicago memes is a new yik yak for Chicago. One.
Uh-huh.
Two, like it's just like it's incredible the amount of the content I've seen over the past like week.
It's pretty good content.
It's crazy.
And
So that's
Shout out to Felipe Bomini. Like, that man is the greatest memer on this campus. Like,
and honestly, the pace at which like the memes come out, it's like every hour, not even like every day. Like,
every hour meme that gets like 500 likes.
So again, plug for what is there's like a Midwest.
Yeah, it's U Chicago memes for theoretical Midwest teams.
So plug for that, incredible. But yeah, this story is such a joke at some points. It's just like, listen, I understand like, yeah, there's a valid point there where like they were just wanting to celebrate construction themes, etc. But they're just like, there's so many better ways to like just deal with the situation. So one, like, you're unaware, which is like kind of your fault because you know what's going to bio, and like someone probably can make that connection. Let's say they did make that connection early enough, right?
Yeah.
The connection's made for them. They want to have a brother comment, our stashes. So this is one of the major things they end up apologizing for. Is like one of the brothers comment on the event page, like, is it a goal for a thick stash? Yes or no, or some shit. So it was like that's paraphrasing, right? Like let me.
I didn't notice that.
That was like so. Yeah, I don't know if you read their apology, which was kind of also overdone. And,
Wow.
Like, it was kind of dumb.
I just say though, like, it is amazing like how you can't get your brothers in line, right? Like, there better be a text or what email or whatever. However, brothers talk to each other, telling you it's like, everyone, this is a matter of like, you know, our reputation. Nobody show up, you know, like nobody show up like
Right. So there's
in the wrong.
there's so
'Cause
many.
they can do it for like, you know, wearing like, you know.
Yo,
frat
no.
t-shirts
So
or
yeah,
something
I
like
said that wrong, folks. It's what is the mustache policy for tonight? Asking for an amigo, right? So if you want, you can say all you want about there's no like connection to like
Cinco de Mayo, but
Mexicans or,
clearly
like,
people
Latino
knew.
culture, but
Yeah,
clearly
people
the-
commented, dude, come on.
So this is what happened. Right? So a brother commented this, and people commented, and eventually they took it down. But clearly it was a long while after because it was left up.
Shouts out to that screenshot.
Yeah, so there was that, and then like brothers showed up to the party in like construction gear. Even after all this, it's just like I understand that everybody's so like technically should be able to like technically are able to do that, right? Like there's no like they're not breaking laws by having that, but it's just like for just common decency, like you can not wear construction gear. Like some people are saying, oh, like we spent all our money on this gear, like well then return it and get the money back, right? Like I don't know. There's just
That's not a good excuse.
But you can clearly just say people like don't show up in construction gear anymore, and like keep it at that. You can.
I'm saying like, when those frat dudes are like, guys, we're holding this mixer. Everyone show up in this shirt. Everyone shows up in that shirt. Yeah. Guys, this is actually kind of racist. Nobody show up to in construction gear.
Yeah.
People still show up in construction
gear. Yeah, people like Sayus will fucking spend an entire quarter to get into Sayu wearing a superhero costume. Mm-hmm. Like clearly, like these kids have money. Like they can sell
it's
that.
It's not even about money. It's just like getting your dudes in line, right? Because
so basically,
you're only as strong as your weakest link.
It makes it evident that this was not a big deal until they got completely shitted on, and then after it's like, oh, let's make an apology, et cetera, et cetera. Like if you cared enough about this, you could easily make someone not wear the gear. It's basically the point, right? So it's just interesting the responses gotten, and like I feel like the solidarity across campus in many different groups of people. Mm-hmm. So I think that was interesting. It actually came up in my psychology of stereotyping and prejudice class where we talked about it. But yeah, I also think it's kind of comical, like so they end up putting a long apology up, like a 2-page apology. Like half of it was like, oh, next time contact the right person, because technically our president wasn't contacted, or someone on our like official board wasn't contacted. It was just us outside brother, but the board got to know either way. So it's just like they just end up throwing up so many excuses that were just unnecessary.
Yeah. I don't think that frats, and obviously it's easy to say this from the outside. Actually, I think a good way to frame this is, how would you operate if you were the frat president? Mm-hmm. If you were a brother in the frat, like you know, how do you operate in those like different levels of power, right? Like a new brother in the frat, and like or like a pledge, right? Like so, it's like those are like the 3 levels of being in Greek life, right? Mm-hmm. So as the president, how do you operate when you get this information? As a brother, how do you operate, like mm-hmm. knowing that this it says something about your reputation, like mm-hmm. Because you're in this collective group, and then as a pledge, someone who's like made it known that I want to be in this organization. How do you interact? How do you operate when you find out this situation goes down? So, do you guys want to speak on that?
Oh, I mean, I guess
frat, right?
Yeah, I guess I can speak on that because I'm currently a frat, like ASI. I mean, so we all group chats, right? And they spoke about it, mm-hmm. saying that they brought it up in their group chat. So, I mean, the first thing you do is you put it in your group chat, right? And then you give it to your brothers. Mm-hmm. And then there's like a group decision, right? Or like if like I feel very strongly about something personally, like I know who my president is, I'll message him, right? There's something interesting because I know like I forget who it was, but someone from Fiji ended up posting and basically was like talking like as a person of color, like I understand, you know, how it is to be marginalized and kind of like try to bridge a gap between like a black individual and a Latino or Latinx, Latinx or whatever individual. And one thing that one of my friends said was like, look, as a Latino man, like I don't want to speak on the experiences of being a black man, and I think it'd be safe vice versa. So there's that aspect. And there's two, is just like, just because a fraternity or an organization has someone that's a person of color doesn't mean that like they're not racist, or doesn't mean that acts are not racist, right?
Sure.
So if my fraternity, right, if I know that this action is going to reflect negatively on us and reflect negatively on me, if I care about it enough individually, I think it's wrong, then like it's not my individual duty to not make this frat do this. Like it should be us as a group collective, like we should all care about it. However, at the same time, if I know this is going to reflect on me and I care about it enough, like I will do what's necessary to make sure like this doesn't happen, right? Like I can contact my president. I can assemble a group of individuals.
So you think that anybody has enough like power and like wherewithal to know to like, you know, to make change happen? So like something.
I mean, for like a party to say like, dudes, we shouldn't like wear construction gear. Like,
right, but saying
just,
like dudes, I'm sure like in some message board somewhere, someone's like, guys, we might run into some problems here. But like, it's clearly
effort.
something happened.
That's my point. It's effort, right? So like I can say it and be like, people disagree with me, and I can leave it at that, or I can, you know, take whatever energy is to like either present that argument or like talk to enough people who would be able to agree with me, or who are able to like express my point to the point of, like, this is not the one decision that's being made, right? There are always times when people want something or want something else, right? And you have to advocate for what you want. So it's basically how bad do you want that? And I think something like this, which is like this is not it's not like the decision to make is not that hard to the point where my effort wouldn't be worth it. You know what I mean? Like asking people to change their costume is not that crazy. It's not like I'm asking people to like decide like what house we're gonna buy, or like or try to decide like, you know, like what renovation we're gonna do in our apartment.
Do you think a pledge would have the power to make this call though?
Not individually, but like again, it's
so a pledge could find someone on their side to make this call.
Well, I mean, I don't know how FIJI works. I don't know if their pledges are in there. Let me just finish. I don't know if their pledges are in like the chats with like the already made brothers. So like, I don't know about the pledge thing. Like,
you know what the thing is?
But it doesn't. Yeah, go ahead.
I think like at U Chicago especially, like there's really self-selecting social groups, and I think the social group that we're all like a part of, like extended, like obviously not like tiny social group, but like there's like groups that have certain political alignments and certain general outlooks on life and like the certain things they want to do. And I'd say you have like your econ bros, you have like your rich frat bros, you have your sporty frat bros, you have like your alt people, you have your like woke people, like and like you have like different minority organizations. I think like we just like don't mix it all with the people from Fiji, and like there's I think that is an issue just in that like we think that like it's like I think it's so obvious not to host a party like that. Like you have to be stupid not to do that. But like when we're not at all interacting with these people, like
that's true.
Like we just have no idea what sort of like gauge they have the campus atmosphere. And I think this is completely racist, and I think it's like wrong. I just think like if we want these incidents to stop happening, that we need to like actually start like talking to frat
But
bros
you'll be surprised, because a lot of people don't like to make it known they're in fraternities because there is a stigma about being in fraternities. But you'd be surprised how many people like I know quite a few people from many different fraternities that are in like
I'm sure
spaces.
You know
I do know Fiji's, and it's like
I know some Fiji's as well.
And I don't hang around spaces that would, you know, people that are stereotypically Fiji, and I know these people are in spaces around SJWs, you know, so it's like you'll be surprised at how widespread actually that people in different fraternities get around it. It's not as stratified as you think.
I think like we have we villainize, like frats do so many horrible things. Like there's like so much sexual assault issues, so much just general issues with like putting a group of guys together and having no female perspective. I think that there's this big celebration of like the individual in like a lot of people's minds, and so like people see frats as like the antithesis of that, because you're joining like a collective that kind of you make decisions as a whole, and or like a lot of it is done more collectively. But I think we don't like so much enough embrace like the good parts of like frat life, like having some sort of like collective, like an ideal frat would have some sort of like collective ethic that it aspires to and like code of conduct, and would generally try and do good things. And by good things, I'm not just saying like, oh, here's our like drive to like support Alzheimer's, because that's like
sure.
money raising, but that has nothing to do with social inequity. Like that's just like raising money for like cancer research, so like rich people can get their cancer treated. And I think that like we need to, like, if there was some sort of if there was like a co-ed frat on campus that like
I've been calling for.
I honestly think that would be a great idea. Like I think the main problem with frats is you have no female perspective.
So Temi-san just brought up what about the service frat, but I think that
APO?
Yeah, it's APO.
Yeah.
I think that having business fraternities and service fraternities are great, but just having a fraternity that is co-ed would be something different.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a perfect name would be call it like Title IX or something. It's like.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right,
then it's always on everyone's mind. Yeah. It's like, this is who we are. We're the Title IXs, you know?
Yeah, that's interesting. Just like, because I like the idea of having like a group of people that wants to live together. Like, as
I definitely think community there's nothing wrong with finding communities, but I do think that definitely like just the institution, it's like kind of like the institution of Boy Scouts. It's like the founding like just plays too heavily into like who they are, right? So it's like same here with fraternities. It's like the founding has like you know, it's rooted in misogyny, like, and it's rooted in like you know, patriarchy. So it's like, how do we pull ourselves out of the system so that we can take the good things and move it somewhere else?
I do think, as you're saying, like fraternities get like a lot of flack, right? Even personally being in one, right? Yeah. And sometimes like the good of them isn't recognized. But I think this. So what happens is, because fraternities are so like prevalent or like so like immune to like attacks or whatever you want to call it, right? I think there's a balance. So I think, yes, people might be extra in what they say about frats. So like the way people deal with situations might be a little bit more over the top than like what's 100% like objectively necessary. However, like frats get away with a lot of stuff. Like a lot of things are reflected or bounced off frats. Like FIJI's not gonna die from this, right?
True.
So I think there's a balance of like
no frats really died.
Right, like
Fidel's coming back.
Right. So you know what I'm saying? Like anything can happen. So at the end of the day, like yes, like people are harsh, and even like being inside of a fraternity, like yes, sometimes like it feels harsh. But at the end of the day, like we're in a position where we don't like it doesn't. We're not harmed that much, right?
Yeah.
So I think until a point where like fraternities or like organizations such as fraternities become more vulnerable to these situations, where like till the time where consequences become more realistic and more, I think realistic is a fine enough word. Then like I think it's going to continue where, you know, flack may be like harsh, right? But I think it's a fair harshness given.
True.
Given.
It's a good point.
But yeah, that's just what I want to say. I think it's.
Yeah. All right, I think that's our show for today.
Right.
So usually, like, when we sign off, we just say something. We give like a hot take or something interesting.
Yeah.
So you know, one sentence hot take. You got anything?
One sentence, like what I learned from today.
Not thing you learned from today. Just like thing you want to bring attention to. Thing
that I want to bring. Okay, well, y'all should definitely, if you get a chance at some point in your life, go see Skepta live.
You saw Skepta?
I saw he came to, I forgot what the place was called.
Was it Concord?
Yeah, it was Concord. And
Concord Music Hall.
Oh my God, he's just played banger after banger after. But he's so good live, and like he brings all these like cool British artists on the stage, and like he dresses really well. He's just like knows how to control a crowd, and like I don't know, it was the best concert I've been to in my life. I think. I just go see Skepta live. That's my hot take.
All right. You got one? All right. So I just want to shout out to Mab on the come up game. Like I'm comparing lineups, right? Like Dillo Day versus Mab, versus Summer Breeze, like the two music festivals, Northwestern's and UChicago's.
Ooh, interesting.
Northwestern came out with Grammatic, MGMT, Drum, and I think is that it?
I
think there's one more.
I think there's a fourth. I'm not sure.
There's a fourth.
It's not anyone more famous than those.
Then Mab, UChicago, the board, the major activity board that sets up Summer Breeze. They came out with Sam G, Tinashe, and Drum, and
By far better.
I'm going to use Chicago. Yeah. I thought it was really nice. Like Sam G, like I didn't know who he was. I started listening to his music. I'm like, wow.
What kind of music is it?
It's like electronic, but he has a lot of urban beats. He has a lot of he's just like a dude who appreciates music, and everything comes into his work. He's very good.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
For the first year, I'm taking my talents to my hometown.
So I mess with Mab.
Yeah.
Heavy. Right.
Yeah.
However, I'm not sure if this is like Mab doing better coming up or just Northwestern not having. Or like Northwestern coming down, right? Like
I think it might just be Northwestern coming down.
I think so, right? If you can, like, this is like a great lineup. Like, I love Tinashe. Like, Tinashe is Bay, right? Like, and beyond just being a beautiful woman, like, like her performance value is very high. Like, she doesn't just go on stage and like sing. Like, she like does a full out like dance choreography. Like, she puts a lot of work in performances, which is one thing I think people don't like realize, and they will at some
rappers
degrees.
Can afford to be really lazy in performance.
So I think I very much appreciate it. Although I just don't think that this group is significantly better than years before, right? Like
last year we had
Joey Badass,
Toki Monster, Sophie, and
Jeremiah. That was.
I think Jeremiah just saved that whole lineup.
I think people just didn't appreciate Joey Badass here.
I
love Joey Badass.
I think if Joey Badass was to come this year or maybe the year later, a totally different experience. Like his exposure is much greater.
People didn't appreciate Vince Staples when he came. Like Vince's
I think everyone loved Vince Staples' fall show. I loved it.
People were not.
I
loved it.
So you did. I don't think.
Yeah, a lot of people were like, "Who is this?"
Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm only as great as my circles. My circles all appreciated it.
I think. So my bad. I didn't mean to cut you off. Also, I think that Joey Badass has more like concert friendly music now. Yeah. Either way, just like I think that was. I think the quality of those acts isn't any significantly different, if not better than this. Right. So I don't. While I love Mav, I think they're doing a great job. I just don't think it's necessarily like them like incredibly coming up. So
I think that their lineup is way better than last year's, for example.
If you look at some of their lineups from the early 2000s,
they
got
Nelly,
some really
famous.
They got Eminem back when he was like really famous.
Yeah, Eminem in his prime, basically.
Yeah.
I wonder how they swung that one.
He was one of the biggest rappers in the game.
We had Pusha T up in here. He was even the best.
Yeah. No, but that year was like it was banger after banger. They had Bauer, Flying
right?
Lotus. No, it was Bauer, Flying Lotus, Vic Mensa, and Pusha T.
Vic Mensa. See, that's even better than the lineup.
That was my first year.
So that's what I'm saying.
So that was a pinnacle. They're not there, but like
yeah, Vic Mensa was that was great. I remember he was like chilling back then though, like relative to now.
Yeah,
he was a little
he
more
just
chill.
came out with Down on My Luck, but like that was his own.
Vic Mensa's always just been like
because I don't think he's still blown up.
Yeah,
he still hasn't blown up.
I don't think he's ever gonna really blow up. He's just gonna release like a bunch of good projects.
But yeah, actually, hot take. Our lineup last year was better than this year.
That's your hot take?
I think they're comparable.
I think they're comparable for sure.
With that, we're going to sign out. This was the 4.7% on a Wednesday. All right, thanks.
Roll call. Oh, it's just me, the money making machine. Do what I need, I'll do it by any means. Success is a beautiful thing, and I'm on the brink. Girls hit me up trying to link. They want a piece of the king, they on a string. Only the best what they bring. I ain't got time for a little ass nigga trying to act like he boss now, nigga. Ayy, I ain't got time for the fakes and the stakes trying to take that and smile in their face. Ayy, every day a nigga try to test me, think they on, but they just buy my recipe. Swear that niggas stay talking off, claim they hard, but they be acting soft. I got no tolerance, they want 9 once you give an inch. These days everybody talking shit, don't like the smell but always catch a whiff. MC Hammer said I'm too legit, mama said I spit like truant kids. I'm kidding, she ain't hear my music yet. If she do, she'll be like hooligans. I need a switch up, use a new flow with no hiccup. I hold it down for my niggas, switching the blaze in the box, picking new locks, show many talents, J Fox. I'm on the edge of my seat, just waiting to see all of the things that I bring to the table. I know that I'm able to bring enough to feed the whole motherfucking industry. And that's for eternity. No, you ain't asked, but you wondering. Got a success, it's the little things. Shout out to Trish, cause he did it.